now. And there we go. We're on YouTube. So it works out well once you have it all set up. Now, the funny part is, if I ever have to remember how I set it all up, it's going to be an entire day's worth of work to figure it out. But once you've
And this is why, Daniel, we had to wait for Rusty to get hold on his technology, is because I don't know that I think I probably had the intelligence to do it, but I don't know that I would have had the wherewithal to be able to translate what Rusty does over to me, like hosting the show and Rusty just call in. So we just kind of said, okay, let's wait till we get it all sorted out and then we'll go live.
yeah, yeah. And I, it's funny. I always before I would be a little nervous when the fan would spin up because I'm like, oh, we're using extra CPU here. Hope it's doing all right. Now when I hear the fan spin up, I'm like, oh, thank goodness it's cooling itself. So this thing's not going to break. So it's a good deal. Let's see. I think I've shared that out on YouTube or on Twitter. So
It already hit my phone, so yeah.
I get, it's weird. I get sporadic messages or like whatever you call them, push notifications on the phone. Like sometimes it's like, "Hey, PTM's live, go!" And other times just like
push notifications are the bane of my existence.
right?
Well, yeah, they kind of do that to me too. Like, so it's weird. It's when I don't want to get something from work on Teams, it'll hit my phone. But when I do want to get something from work, like sometimes it takes like an hour to hit my phone. I'm like, well, why is that?
That's the universe playing tricks with you.
Evidently, I can only assume that must be the case.
We do in my job, we do push notifications for like doctors and surgeons and stuff to say, hey, you've got a surgery coming up in 5 minutes. And so if ours don't go out until 6 minutes, then it's like, well, that didn't help. So you would
tell you lose their minds.
Right. So we've got a lot of well, it's all in AWS, but a lot of virtual hardware sitting out there to make sure these things go off right. But then I think to like, come on, YouTube, if I can do it, you can do it.
All right, I'm gonna put it. All right, I gotta put this on mute so that y'all don't hear it. There we go.
Cool.
All right, I got the YouTube all dialed in here on the big screen.
There you go. Ready for rolling, ready for action. I think I've shared it out on Twitter. So
Twitter.
And I intended at least to tag Daniel. So Daniel, you should see yourself.
You did. I've already retweeted it.
Sweet,
so.
My man. All right. We'll see if we get a couple folks to hang out in the next couple minutes. Usually Roger will come by. It was cool. So we did kind of a test session on Saturday. Yeah, just trying to make sure all the cobwebs were knocked off.
What was ironic about it, Daniel, is we got about the same amount of people that would have dialed in to a regular show.
Right. And that's
because of that whole notification thing.
Really cool.
That's the whole.
So you got the entire audience for the concert to show up for the sound check.
Pretty much. We had like 8 people. We typically get between like, I don't know, between 6 and 19 people, which obviously that's if that's your audience that tunes in live, then that's a big range. But it was interesting that many people were like, oh shit, PTM is doing something, bam, and they hit the button and watched, and we were just goofing off. Like, I don't think I even realized we were live. But
so how many people tune in for the live broadcast?
Typically, like throughout the entire broadcast that will be on the wall is usually about 12 people.
Okay.
So that's not a lot, obviously, but the wall's kind of fun because people will interact all throughout. We've had as many as probably 20 people at a time, but typically it's probably around 12. And but it's fun because that's a dedicated audience.
Yeah, let me bring up the YouTube chat or whatnot.
Yeah, it's fun.
The YouTube shit. Okay, that's
There
gonna
it
be
is.
weird. All right.
So you say
So thank you for being my 77th subscriber earlier. Whoever's in charge of subscribing
Oh yeah,
on from your account.
the YouTube subscriber. Yeah. I saw the show and I started watching the Pocky one while I was putting together our show notes, just kind of in the background, and then I was like, I'll hit subscribe, increase the old, counter by +1.
So yeah, in order to get a custom URL, I need to have at least 100 subscribers.
Oh, neat.
So
Okay.
I need to get 33. So anyone who's currently watching or just loitering,
we'll get you there. No worries. Yeah, we'll get you on the deal.
Yeah. I don't know how many subscribers we have anymore.
We have 288.
Oh, neat. Okay. Well, I need to get one of those custom URLs, evidently.
Yeah, I didn't know that custom URL was the thing that you should aspire to. I didn't realize.
It makes it easier for people to find you. You can say, hey, come find me at youtube.com/PETM podcast rather than youtube.com/gobbledygook.
That's true. That's a good point.
Makes a lot of sense.
So we should probably request that then if we have almost 300.
YouTube custom URL get. I'll figure it out.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the portion of the show where the guest teaches the hosts.
It wouldn't be the first time.
It definitely would not be the first time.
What was it? I think one of the most magical moments was like right after it was done. We were in After Dark, and Sherman goes, "Hey, we need to somehow figure out how to get on Stitcher." And I was like, "Huh?" And I look up, and I'm like, "Stitcher, sign up, link." And I'm like, "Dude, we're on Stitcher now." It took about a minute. So,
well, I couldn't figure out why that would be a thing that would prevent somebody from listening to what we're doing. But evidently there is a group of people that only use Stitcher. And I was like, hey, Rusty, I think this is pretty easy. Can you do this? And he was like, yep.
Done. Yeah.
Done.
Well, gentlemen, we ready to do a shoe?
Yeah, let's do a shoe.
All right. Well, I'll do all the intro stuff and bring Sherwin on. Then I'll bring Daniel. I'll bring you on. And, you've heard us before. You know what we do. Nothing too scripted, that's for sure.
I work better in unscripted.
Yeah, so. Yeah, same here. All right, well, with that, do I have everything? I think I have everything. All right, yep, let's do it. Here we go, recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 275. It's Tuesday, January 26, 2021. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace in the PETM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is, every cent this year, we're donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PETM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. They are Aaron Britton, Robert Kevin, your Coleman, Pam Eric, Kevin Ryan, Kiefer, Patrick Clear, Jeff Brown, Brandon Cobb, Kathleen McDonald, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Julie Bosley, Eddie Britt, Third, Young Commanders, First, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Chris Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, and Stacey Coleman, Lisa Tanana, Rick Houston, Sarah and Barry, Evan Rowan, Matthew Bishop, Harry Bolzania, AJ Evangelista, Les Miller, and Jumpy Bob. Woo! Got the one breather. Feeling good. You know, it's like riding a bike or whatever. That's it. From the PETM North Carolina studio, Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
It's cute. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're back in action. After 2 weeks off, it was Sherwin's fault. Totally Sherwin's fault. I don't know what to do.
It's 100% my fault. Just blame it on me. I can take it after the last 2 weeks of work. Trust me, I can shoulder the blame.
Just pile it on. Just dog pile the rest.
Yeah, just keep it on, man. I done carried so much at work that it feels like a feather.
No, so it turns out we were on like a ticking time bomb here last time, if folks were on for PTM 274, and if you look it up on YouTube, you'll see that the video is going in and out, and it's going a little crazy. Turns out the fan in my laptop died, which underclocked the CPU, which all that means is everything just started slowing way down, and like we're getting into extreme. This is about to blow up time, and we're not even going to have a show that's recorded or anything. So closed out the show there at the end, got it uploaded, and shut down the computer. Ordered the part, and of course they're just like, yeah, it'll show up at some point. You'll get it sometime. So it took 2 weeks, but got the part, put it in. I used up all of my headspace in taking apart a laptop and getting the fan out and all that. So luckily, all worked out, and we're ready to roll again. And you look at it, all the encoding is going. Everything's in the green. It looks like it did. I can hear the fan spinning up. It's like I knew what I was doing or something. So it was my fault. We can dogpile the blame on Sherwin, but I'll take it here. That all said, let's bring on our show guest tonight. Longtime friend of the podcast, but first-time guest. Freelance motorsports journalist, host of the Drop the Hammer show on YouTube. He's on Twitter at Daniel McFadden. It's Daniel McFadden. What's up, Daniel?
Hello. What have we here after I broke bread with you guys in Darlington. What was it? 2.5 years ago?
I'm surprised it was only 2.5 years ago, because I feel like we both go to so many races, and we just, hey, Daniel, hey, what's up, fellas? So it feels like we hang out all the time, and then it's first time.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know the mail has been slow lately, so I was really glad to see my invitation finally come in the DMs this morning.
Well, we told you the invitation was in the mail 2 years ago, and it finally got around to us. But,
I honestly thought, Daniel, I thought this was the second time that you would have been on. To be honest with you,
no, I would have remembered that.
Everybody remembers their PTM first time.
Maybe you just thought us sitting around a campfire was the first episode.
That could be.
Could have been.
It would not be the first time we sat around drinking beers talking about NASCAR. Can we all agree on that?
That's how this podcast got spawned.
I don't get to do that often, so
right. Well, with that said, Daniel, you know how we start the show at least. What you drinking tonight?
Well, I chose my drink based on the unofficial announcement that was on Reddit yesterday regarding Brad Keselowski's new beer sponsor.
Oh yeah.
So I got my Keystone Light.
Nice. And you didn't get like a little mini. He's going after the...
Wow.
Nice.
I did not see that announcement. That's interesting.
It's down someone posted like a gas station sign that you see in gas stations of Brad Keselowski for the 2021 season, and it's a Keystone Light car. Which is also owned by Miller Coors and all that.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a Keystone Light. So
I've got this had to be, it was over 10 years ago now, but I dressed up as Keith Stone, if you remember those commercials back in the day. And
no. There is a great story associated with that because Rusty dressed up as Keith Stone and came into Bobby Dodd Stadium with an empty 12-pack, like an empty box, just carrying it, like rocking it like a boombox. And I got stopped by one of the stewards of the stadium, and they're like, "That's not full of beer, is it?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Okay." Like, that's how it used to be before all this horse hockey.
Yeah.
But that's like, he comes rocking in, and I get stopped because I'm behind him.
He's
like, that's not full of beer, is it? I'm like, no, it's completely empty. It's just a prop.
Oh man, that was fun. Well, Sherwin, what you got for us?
Well, I have the actual.
Oh, sir, there's
the Miller Lite long neck.
Well done.
I'm of the mind that you got to support the brands that are currently supporting NASCAR. You got to do it for the culture. So that's.
I've been drinking Miller Lite since I was like 17. So.
Wait, what?
Oh, wait, that math doesn't add up, right?
Right.
I think the statute of limitations have expired on that. So you're good.
Whoops-a-daisies.
So, Sherwin, I keep expressing that of all the sports in the last year that haven't happened, the one that I miss the most is going to the racetrack. And part of that is the traditions that we have at the racetrack. And so on our comeback show here after a couple weeks, I saw it in the store and I said, that is what I'm drinking tonight. So you can see it right here. The 24-ounce can of Twisted Tea.
That is also a Miller Coors brand, I believe.
Is it? I don't.
I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
I've never had Twisted Tea, so I have no idea.
Oh, it's so much fun. They disappear.
I'm not a tea guy. So
you sit in the stands with one, and then you blame the guy sitting next to you for drinking it,
Yeah.
even though you never handed it to him. But like it's empty, and you're like, "Hey, did you drink my tea?"
Did you drink my tea?
He's like, "No, you did." Oh, okay.
Yeah. Man, there's nothing like, you're sitting in Bristol. It's a night race. You're a couple beers in, and you crack open a tea, and man, it hits the spot. I'm telling you, that's where it's at.
There's no carbonation in it, so it just goes. It just.
Have you guys had the seltzer?
Oh
beers?
yeah, I've got White Claw in my fridge right now.
I've never had any of those. I have no idea.
Oh, they're a lot of fun. They're like, those LaCroix, the flavored seltzer water thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that, but it's got booze in it, which makes it even better.
Well, it's dangerous.
I saw a Coors Light seltzer a while back. I was like, that makes no sense. So,
what makes a White Claw?
But everybody's got one now.
Yeah,
right. What makes a White Claw so dangerous is like, hey, here's a perfect mixer for your whiskey, and it's like, oh well, my mixer is alcoholic too. Super. Like, we're doing it tonight.
Yes, it is the black cherry one with bourbon. I'm telling you, that's the spot.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, we have each a drink in hand, so let's just kick back, have some fun. We said at the top of the show that folks may not know that we see each other all the time and everything. So, like I said, good to have you on the show. One thing we've been doing with the guests, especially in the off season when we have nothing to talk about, and the show notes are about 4 sentences long. You hail, if I got it correctly, from Springdale, Arkansas, right?
No, that's where I currently reside.
Okay.
I'm originally from Lewisville, Texas, in North Texas, which is basically just a suburb of Dallas.
Louisville, Texas. Louisville. It's
Louisville.
It's like Lewis, Lewis.
Yes,
Ville.
Louisville. Yes.
Okay. So
that's where I spent the first chapter of my life. So.
Let's see. If I go to Louisville, Texas TripAdvisor.
Gosh.
And this
don't quiz me on Louisville, okay? Don't quiz me.
So how?
So you get a choice then: Louisville or Springdale.
Like if I got to choose between them.
What has more fun?
I haven't lived in Louisville since I was 9.
Okay.
So I don't. So
all right.
So how was it? Were you surprised that Corey did so much research about you that he knew that you were from Louisville and that you live in Arkansas?
Yeah. For a second there, I had to wait, Corey. Oh, okay. A little bit. I was trying to when I saw that video you guys sent, which thank you guys. That was amazing. I needed that at that particular time. It was just that was just great timing. So yeah. I loved that. When he I was surprised when he started rattling off just a few personal factoids. Like, I don't know where he got that from. So I'm guessing you guys did the research and sent it to him.
On your Wikipedia.
No, he did it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah. So and Rusty didn't even know that I did this, but
okay.
So this is where I'm surprising Rusty a little bit with this, and we can go back, and Rusty, you can go back and see the video. But I solicited a cameo video from Corey Ryan Forrester.
Oh yeah.
And he did all this research. I said, this is his name and this is his Twitter, and these are the things that I want you to do. And I said, he's like, you want this to be like a roast? And I'm like, yeah, roast the shit out of him. But he did all this front end research to build this buttercream dream, wrestling promo, kind of this guy from Louisville, Texas, the pride of Arkansas. But, it was like awesome.
Holy crap. Oh, man. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now and putting it on this deal. Man, work's been crazy lately, so it gets a little sideways.
I passed it forward, guys. I actually had Corey do one of those for two of my friends.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Corey's cool as hell. He's been on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
He's super fun. Fellas, let's see, what do we have here? Springdale, Arkansas. All right, so give me the lowdown, Daniel. What's the best things to do?
In Springdale, well, in time of COVID, nothing.
Well, let's forget about that. We throw that out and just what's normal for Springdale.
Well, I've been gone for basically a decade, 7 years or so. It's the chicken capital of the world. Tyson Chicken, George's Chicken. They're all headquartered here.
Okay.
To put this in this perspective, you guys remember the movie Chicken Run?
No.
Yes. It's a cartoon, right?
It was like a claymation movie.
Yeah.
Stop motion. It was
with
stop motion with Mel Gibson was one of the main characters. Anyway, that movie's world premiere was held at my elementary school when I was in fourth grade, and so here, and here's the thing. It started the world premiere event started. This was in winter. First off, they had the entire school. All the students and stuff gather outside so that people dressed up as chickens could skydive and land on land like in the back parking lot of the school. They missed, landed in a field next to the school.
That's fantastic.
Oh man!
And then we all went inside and watched Chicken Run. So yeah.
Everybody in Georgia knows about chicken houses because there ain't nothing that stinks like a chicken house.
Oh. That's about the only thing that is like even thought of gives me like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a huge chicken operation in Gainesville and in Lumpkin, and well, there's a bunch of places, but yeah, chicken houses stink.
Oh no, yes. A pastime for me as a kid here growing up on the outskirts of Springdale is like we would go to church at Sunday or Wednesday nights, and then we would come out to the smell of chicken farms because there was chicken farms right down the road. So
Right.
Yeah, I'm all
Like,
too
Grandma,
familiar.
did you fart? 'Cause that smells bad.
Oh man! So according to TripAdvisor, the things to do in Springdale, Arkansas, Arvis Ballpark. Have you been out there?
Yeah, in Springdale. Yeah, yes, I've been out there. I spent my first 2 summers after high school. I spent out there working on the concession stands
Nice.
at that stadium. That's where the Northwest Arkansas Naturals play baseball. They're a double A team.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
And there's
Minor
at
league
least-
baseball is fun.
There's Parsons Stadium and Rodeo.
Not when you're working the concession stands, Sherwin.
Well, you got to sneak one every
Fair.
once in a while, right? A Keystone Light or something.
Not then. I was underage. But no.
Oh,
Minor league baseball's fun when you're in the stands. Sure. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it on Thirsty Thursday when beers are $1. That's when minor league is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I got not last year, but the year before that, I actually got to go to the final game for the Kannapolis Intimidators
Nice.
with my family. So right before the name change.
Yeah. So I was kind of hoping to go over there and see that, but we'll see how that goes.
So two of the other big things are wineries and vineyards. Like, is wine a big thing in Springdale, Arkansas?
Not to my knowledge. I know there's like
interesting.
there's at least a couple breweries, but wineries I have. Oh wait, no, in Tawny Town. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I've never seen them.
You pronounced
But-
it well,
Huh?
I'm guessing, because I'm looking at like Tawny Town.
Tawny Town. It's Tawny Town.
Tawny Town, okay.
Tawny Town.
And Sassafras Springs Vineyard. So, you got your choice.
Sassafras Springs.
I
Okay.
don't know. This is your town. You figure it out, man.
Sassafras
Hey, man,
root is how they make root beer.
I'm just living rent free here right now until the next opportunity comes up.
That'll happen. Hey, that's part of life, man. I've done that.
So enough of the awkward stuff. Well, let's talk about dropping the hammer. So you're on episode number 3 now. This is like a YouTube series, dude. It was really cool the way that you edit the videos, and like the latest one was Bob Puckers, and he was talking about some old race, and you were putting footage of the race up over the top of it, and then back to y'all too, and everything. It looks really cool.
Thank you.
How'd you? What was the inspiration, PTM podcast, for starting that? And what's your what are you looking to do with it? Just what's coming up next?
Well, I guess part of the inspiration is I'm unemployed. I have a lot of
Can't
free
do
time.
that to me. I had a full drink of beer there. I appreciate dark humor, so you got me.
I'm unemployed. I have a lot of free time. I have a lot of experience, a lot of NASCAR knowledge. I have a lot of industry knowledge. People know me. I'm kind of a big deal. Not really, but I like after nearly 6 years of working for NBC Sports, and then before you're laid off because of the COVID economic impact, you build up a lot of credibility, industry credibility, and like I said, a lot of time on hands, and I wanted to do something that combined my industry knowledge with just my 25 years of being a NASCAR fan into one project. And then I wanted to call it Dropping the Hammer because Days of Thunder is amazing.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, your graphic is fantastic. And
thank you.
For those on the horn that may have never heard of the name Daniel McFadden, he used to be the person who ran the NBC NASCAR
if only
handle.
If only I did not run the handle. I did not.
Yeah, but
I had nothing to do with the social media team.
You had some involvement there. You had some direction in terms of what content was going to get exploded out from that group. So
I wrote it, and then it would automatically get posted to that account.
Right.
So that's as far as my involvement.
So that means that it's your content that was coming out of there. So, but really just I wanted to do a kind of YouTube show that just combined my knowledge and my love of the sport into one thing, and create a show that could be informative, that I could put my expertise behind, and also use it to help elevate other voices within the industry. Because like tomorrow, I'm going to be interviewing an artist, a NASCAR artist who I just stumbled upon on Twitter, and so I saw her stuff. I was like, I want to talk to her. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. Also, we'll be talking to Ross Chastain tomorrow.
Sweet.
So you can expect some of that at some point next week. Like I think I told you before we started, I'm going to interview with the showrunner for the new Netflix show, The Crew, starring Kevin James, that's coming out next month. So I'll have that probably closer to when the show premieres on February 15th. So I got stuff in the works. So Dropping the Hammer, 3 episodes in. So and that the logo was created by my friend James Crow, who I met in college, and he's also the co-host of the podcast version of Dropping the Hammer, which will hopefully launch this week.
Sweet.
Hopefully. So,
well, don't forget us little people who were within the first 77 subscribers to the Dropping the Hammer show. If you go on YouTube, y'all, just search for Daniel McFadden, McFadin, and you'll find
Dropping the Hammer. Daniel McFadden, Dropping the Hammer.
Yep.
Let's do that.
There you go.
Also, I am at 77 subscribers, so I need to get to as we talked, I need to at least get to 100 so I can get that custom URL. So I could just say, look up Dropping the Hammer, and not gobbledygook.
I can cheat.
URL.
I can cheat because I subscribed under PTM, but here's my other one. And so, I can totally just pump the numbers.
I might have some burner accounts that can help out over there too.
I actually have an
Uh,
old YouTube account from like my college days that I can't even get access to anymore that still exists. So, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're at 78 now, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka. I have not subscribed with Pregame Engineer or What You Drinking, which I don't mess with that too much anymore.
Yeah.
But those things exist.
Well, sweet. Fellas, let's see. That's the drop in the hammer. You know what, Daniel? Tell us your story, dude. Like, where you said NASCAR fan 20 years. You can't be but like 22 years old. So
He said 25, so he started
25.
when he was -3.
Well, no, I wish I was 22.
I don't know
I'm
about
actually
22. I would go back to
No,
30.
you don't. Nobody wants to be 22 again.
Right. That's my thing. Like, I'll recycle the 30s when I turn 40 here very, very soon. Not as soon as Sherwin, by the way, which is coming soon. But
It's coming up real soon.
but yeah, if I turn 40, if you just want to roll it back to 30, I can do that. But if you go back to my 20s, I'm like, no. I had fun. Don't get me wrong.
We're far enough away from those stories now that we can actually tell them and just separate ourselves from them.
Yeah. That was like some other guy.
Well, I was 22 when that happened, so
Yeah, what do you want?
It's okay for me to talk about it now.
I wish I was 22 because I'm 11 days and 3 hours for turning 30.
Okay.
So
Okay.
All right, so you're on a similar milestone plan as me that was not planned by us. It was planned for us by our parents. The next show that we do, it will be on my 40th birthday.
Oh,
booyah.
Congrats.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's that, but
Hey man, it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Well,
there's a lot more miles than there are years. I think.
I'll tell you this much: knowing what we did in our 20s, the fact that we do make it to 40 is a miracle, and everyone should be sainted for.
Well, it should be a celebration.
Right.
Except for we can't go out and celebrate, but we can celebrate here. But yeah, next week is going to be a little bit of a celebration.
There we go.
I might be a little bit off my rocker next week.
Sweet. But yeah, so we go down that hole like we do in the PTM podcast. But so fixing to turn 30. Mm-hmm. NASCAR fan 25 years. You've been watching since you were a kid.
Yeah. No, growing up in Louisville, Texas, my dad, he had been a NASCAR fan since like the 80s, and so he got me into it, and I came like he was a Dale Earnhardt fan, so I was a Dale Earnhardt fan, and so he as I said in the first episode of Dropping the Hammer, it's like he took me to the inaugural Cup race at Texas Motor Speedway in 1997 when I was 6. So that's if it's not the earliest NASCAR memory that I have, it's like number 2, because like I think the first one might be me watching the 97 Daytona 500 and seeing Dale Earnhardt flip on the backstretch. That might be my first one, but if not, it's definitely the inaugural Cup race. So yeah, I've been going at the NASCAR stuff since 97 at the earliest.
You're actually ahead of us. I guess. I mean, Rusty, I think his grandparents were into it. My family was never into it. Mm-hmm. But our first personal experience together was in 2004 at Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And we have had a ton to say about that experience. I mean, because at that time, there weren't a lot of rules. I mean, we were 10 feet high up on the fence for restarts. I mean, it was absolutely bananas.
And we were 21 years old, 22 years old. Like, this is harking back to what we were talking about before.
Right. We were in our early 20s, making all of the early 20s bad decisions. I mean, we were counting beers in like multiples of 10, not 2 or 3, but it was like how many beers did we drink that day? I mean, I don't know. It was like 75. I don't
no, some ridiculous number. So you got into journalism at some point in that, and decided NASCAR's where you're going.
Well, there were phases.
Yeah, summarized there pretty, probably a 20-year period.
No, my first taste of journalism came in high school. My junior year, I joined here at Springdale. I joined the school's student news channel, and I became the sports guy. And I liked it. It was okay. It's like, oh, someday I'm going to be on ESPN. And I did that for 2 years. And then my senior year, I also joined the student newspaper, but I wasn't the sports guy. I was just like doing entertainment reviews and opinion articles and stuff. But my primary focus in high school was theater. For all 3 years in high school, I was a theater geek. And initially, when I went to Arkansas State University, which is in Jonesboro, Arkansas, I was going as a theater major. And I did that. And then my sophomore year, I guess I started paying attention to the student newspaper and reading their sports stuff and realizing that I could do a lot better. And so I joined the student newspaper my sophomore year, and I did that for 3 years. I covered football, basketball. Then I was the sports editor. I was also an opinions editor. In that time, we went on a trip to Chicago for a college journalism press convention. And I found out about a sports journalism master's program that was in Indianapolis. And as part of that program, you could potentially help be a part of a student news bureau at the Indianapolis 500. I was like, I'm doing that.
Yes, sir.
And so for basically the next year and a half, my single-minded focus was to get into that program so I could just cover the Indianapolis 500. That was my only other post-undergraduate thing I even tried to do. I didn't apply for any jobs. It was the only grad program I applied to. So for a few months in the summer of 2013, I was working in the back of a Walmart unloading trucks, just going, please let me get into that program. And then I got into the program. And then for a year, I was in Indianapolis.
Indy's a very neat place. I'm glad that I got to go. I want to go do it again, but there's like that reverence about that place, and it's so big and so different, and there's so many people that are there having fun that have no idea that a race is even taking place. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to be part of the wild stuff because I was working. But yes, I've heard all the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, I want to do it again because I didn't watch much of the race. Like I sat on the inside bleachers on the front stretch on the actual race day. I sat on the front stretch for a little bit on a practice day, but most of the time I was just wandering around and watching people while cars are doing real fast things around you. And I mean, I probably watched 30 laps standing on the biggest mound that's on the golf course part of the inside, of the track. And just cause it was up higher enough where you could see everything. And I mean, like I'm standing on, like there's a green behind me. Right. And I'm watching racing and I'm like, this is different. I want to play this golf course.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about. And I can't wait to get out to Indy and see this stuff. But like, hey, there's a golf course right there in the infield, and there's this and that and the other. But yeah, that's pretty wild. You know what, Daniel? In a completely cheap way to fill out our show sheet, I did write down some stories and stuff, but mostly curious from your sake as a NASCAR journalist, what are some of the stories you've been following over the last, I would say last 2 weeks while me and Sherwin were, twiddling our thumbs.
Um, it's been interesting seeing, some of the final like mid-pack rides getting filled out
Yeah.
for some of the Xfinity uh, drivers, or some of the last ones are finally getting announced, and seeing how just packed the Xfinity Series field is going to be in a way that it's never been.
It's going to be. I saw a headline for it, and it was parallel thoughts. Like, it's going to be the most competitive Xfinity field that we've seen in a long time. Don't you think?
Oh no! Oh, absolutely. I mean, for basically the last 5 years or so, I mean, the teams and cars you could say were actually even remotely competitive was like 10, 9. Then you'd have like the Ryan Siegs and the Jeremy Clements kind of bringing up the rear for the full like 12 cars the playoff field. But now there's like going to be 15 cars at least that you could say, yeah, that they have a chance to be in the playoffs. And so that the fight for that final spot is going to, hopefully it could be fun. Like you can't, it's not going to be an afterthought. You're like, there's going to be a battle going into I don't even know what the regular season finale is for Xfinity right now. So that's going to be so much fun. I think
it's also at Darlington, is it not? Or is Darlington in the playoffs?
Playoffs? Yeah, good question.
Oh, no, it's Daytona. It's Daytona.
Is it? Like Daytona?
So.
Daytona?
It is for Cup, but I don't know off the top of my head what it is.
I don't either. I'm sure we can Google and figure it out, but you're not wrong. I think this is going to be one of the more fun Xfinity seasons that we've seen in a while because of what you just said. Like, I love that Ryan Sieg performed so well last year that he made the playoffs, because it's fun to see a team like that get a chance for that opportunity for exposure. And maybe it'll catapult that team into a place where there may be a playoff fixture, but there's going to be a lot of competition for it. And that last race is definitely going to matter to probably about 3 different teams.
Yeah. And fellas, it's Bristol. It's
shoot.
Final race of the
snap, baby.
Season.
Back on this concrete, though.
Yeah, back on real race surface. I shouldn't say that. Real race surface for Bristol, that is. I'm all about dirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the things we were talking about, or that I'd put in here too. Like all the stuff that's going on. I didn't write Xfinity specifically, but expectations for the 2021 season. We got Bubba. We got Eric Jones filling that spot at RPM. Ross Chastain, Daniel, you mentioned earlier, going to have him on the show at Ganassi. And then we've got these one-offs that were recently announced. Dinger at Daytona Road Course with Colleague Racing, and Jamie Mack at Daytona 500 with Spire. So a lot of cool things to look
So the thing about that Colleague deal is they've been wanting to go to Cup all along. That was their plan. So the fact that we went to 7 road course races, not a shock at all. They're going to enter a Cup car with Dinger. So it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, one over the last few years, like before, I guess, for last year, really, you had this kind of narrative of teams dropping out of NASCAR and Cup. You had French Row going away, and then say goodbye to Levine Family Racing, and now going into this year, you have 2311 Racing, you have Trackhouse Racing, you have the Matt Tiff, BJ McLeod team.
Spire adding a second car,
and also Spire is now their own separate identity. For the first 2 years.
So how about this? And I don't know if this is in Rusty's notes or not, but how about the fact that that 47 car for JTG Doherty, they had to give up their lease. So that means Ryan Preece actually has to make it on speed. And we have 46 cars now that are planning to show up for Daytona. And we only have 40 cars that can race. So somebody important is going to miss that race.
I mean, no, think about that. Like, we haven't had this kind of drama for the Daytona 500 in years. Like, for the last few years, it's been, one car is going to miss it, maybe 2. Or
Well,
there's
so
only
I asked
so
Brian Keselowski that, and because I knew he would know, and he's like, "Yeah, it's been about 3 years since we had more cars show up than we're actually going to get to race." And so he's like, "Yeah, there's going to be a good car, a well-built car that should perform that is going to not get to race in the Daytona 500." And that's actually a good thing.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Like, you have that narrative because with the the charter system that everyone's locked in, but not anymore. I mean, the who's are, yeah, but you still got those 25th on back cards that are going to be at risk right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's the 36 are going to be locked in, but there's 4 spots available,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's going to be, I guess, what, 10 cars that are going to try to get those 4 spots. So we are going to have a true speed weeks like we used to always have. There won't be 65 cars like we've seen in a few, 10 years ago, but it's going to matter. What happens in the duels is going to matter. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
Don't say it didn't matter last year because Daniel Suarez will have something else to say about that.
Well, that's true. That's a good point.
So I'm switching gears again. I was kind of reflecting on the Xfinity stuff we were talking about. How much of that competition that we're having in Xfinity now, how much do you think that's driven by these decisions to essentially kick the cup ringers out of the series? Is that
100%, 100%? If they hadn't clamped down, if at all, this wouldn't be happening. Like it just wouldn't be. But then I forget the phases that it went in on the clamping down. I think it was like 7 races, and then it was 5, and I think there was
and no playoffs. Yeah,
before that. But then no playoffs, then no elimination races, like the regular season finale.
I think now it's like if you've won a cup race, you can only race 3 times or something like that.
Yeah,
it's if you like ran full time for points like the previous year or something like that. You're limited. And so, but like last year, you had Kyle Busch do his 5 races. I think you had Keselowski do 1 maybe at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure. You had Denny Hamlin do the Darlington race, which is his thing. But really, that's it. I mean, you have some of backmarker guys who do it in Cup, Xfinity, and all that. But yeah, like it's Kyle Busch and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm loving it, guys. I'm loving it.
I don't mind it from a entertainment perspective. I'm curious if it is still as viable of a television product from a monetary perspective.
Well, we'll see. I think this year will tell us. Like, we've got the best competition out there, and so if this doesn't do it, they might have to backtrack on something. But it's strong in terms of hype, I would say.
But it's not just Xfinity, guys. I mean, it's the Truck Series. Like this right now, we're like living in this very awesome universe where each of the 3 series has their own unique identity, their own rivalries, their own drivers. Like the Truck Series is finally the Truck Series again, because after 08 happened, and then like all the veterans got kicked out for younger drivers and stuff, and then for last decade it's been that young drivers and like Matt Crafton. And
well, I'm glad you brought that up because Timothy Peters' announcement is pretty freaking awesome.
Yes, I was not expecting that. A new team. So,
yeah. And they have a
called.
GMS association, or they're in the GMS fold one way or the other. But
technical alliance. Yeah.
Timothy always made that series better, made it more robust. I put that on Twitter. Used those exact words. He's just good for that series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like for a long time it was
Red Horse.
Yeah.
Red Horse. There you go.
Yeah.
So
let's think about it. For years, you just had these young drivers who were there for a year and then went on to the Xfinity series. But now you have drivers who've been there for years. Like Ben Rhodes is a long-term veteran of the Truck Series. So, and I mean,
Yeah.
like in Finger, Crafton, Solder. You got John Hunter Nemechek coming back, which is incredible.
That's nuts.
You got Brett. Oh, you had Moffitt. Now he's going Xfinity racing with Our Motorsports. But
Well, and Jordan Anderson is going to Xfinity racing too. He made a big announcement this week. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that too. But it's like it's the veteran series again.
Well, and I think that was the intent when it started.
Yeah.
Was like, can the veterans that actually know how to race these vehicles teach these young kids who are on their way up how to race? Because there is something to be learned by racing around people that understand all of the things that you need to do in order to complete a race successfully. And, you know, when you're running features, no matter if it's on dirt or on asphalt, you're only running 25 laps. Well, in trucks, we look at that and go, man, that's a great Friday night event. Man, we're going to watch 150 miles or whatever it is, 100 laps or 125 laps of a race. And it's going to be a lot of fun because it's going to be intense the entire time. But that teaches those kids how to race.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Like how you, like this is NASCAR. This is different now. You have to race for longer. You have to conserve your stuff. You can't dive every single corner. You're going to tear your stuff up.
Right, right. So, Daniel, you had mentioned Levine Family Racing earlier and how they had shut down. One thing, you got to reach out to Bob Levine and have him on. He's so open to come on to stuff because he's come on to our show twice. So I know he's open to do stuff. And to hear somebody who actually knows how to interview somebody, talk to him, I bet you can get quite a bit out of that.
Bob is sensational.
Yeah, he is. He runs a show, and we sit here with bugs flying in our mouths.
It is unbelievable how much information that man is willing to share, especially now that he's actually officially out of the sport. Like, we've already talked to him about coming back again to like give the second part of the last show that we did, where he can share everything that he wants to share. I mean, we broke it all down to how much you spend on this part and that part and the other part and motors and this and that, and how much it costs to build a body. And like, I mean, he just said, this is what it is. This was a hobby of mine. I love racing, but it got to a spot where it didn't work for me anymore.
Right.
And it stopped being fun, so I'm not doing it anymore.
And if I recall, his first race was Texas Motor Speedway, and it might have been that inaugural. So you might have been at the same track as him for your very first races.
No, the Levine Family Racing that happened. Pretty sure that was like a mid-2000s.
Might have been. In terms of the reason why Bob got into it. Was going to the track in '97. And then he ended up meeting, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he won, David Starr.
David Starr, there you go, yeah.
And he's like, I want to build a car so David Starr has a chance to race.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. And that, yeah, you're right about it being in the mid.
Okay. I misunderstood Rusty. My bad.
Yeah, no, but it all started with him just getting invited to a race. As a part of his construction business. And then he was like, you know what, this is actually pretty awesome. And I got some cash in my hobby bucket.
Right.
That's a nice bucket to have when your cash bucket for hobbies can buy you a cup car. Because most of us aren't probably ever going to reach that height. But yeah, that's how it all started.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if Michael Jordan can own a NASCAR team, so can you.
Right.
There you go.
Well,
yeah. No problem. And we'll have MJ on the show here in a couple weeks, right, Sherwin?
Yeah, we'll have Michael Jordan on here within a couple weeks. No problem.
Perfect. I'll get him on the horn and put in a good word for you.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Appreciate it. Daniel, I don't know how to talk about this one without feeling like salt in the wound or something, but I mean, it was big news
Yeah.
With the NBC Sports Network shut down at this point. Sounds like races are likely returning to USA Network by the end of the year. They've got the TV contract through 2024. We've talked about the future of NASCAR on TV here a few times, but would love to hear kind of your perspective there. In 3 years, are we looking at something like completely different? Like we're going to be watching NASCAR on our phones only, or there's a lot of money there too, though. So I could see it, still getting bought out. But anyway, just curious your thoughts on all that, and future of where the TV stuff's going.
Well, it's not really salt in the wound because I was never part of the NBCSN stuff.
Right.
So I was never on TV. They mentioned me a couple times maybe, but I was not an on TV talent. I was strictly just on the internet. So no, I mean it was surprising. I mean there was the rumors or whatever circulating, or kind of fix that.
The perils of YouTube.
Yeah, getting the hair right. That's why I wear a hat.
Yep.
Yeah.
This mess ain't gonna fix itself.
Hold on, let me join the hat club real quick. Hold on.
Oh, he's going for the hat. There you go, Sherwin. Oh man, Sherwin's got the Tennessee waterfall. There's party in the back.
Yeah, Mom was giving me a hard time about the flow, and she's like, "How long are you gonna grow your hair?" And I'm like,
"All right,
till I'm done growing it."
Oh my gosh, the Top Gun Dale Earnhardt hat. I think we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Holy mackerel!
Yes, if I'm going to wear a hat, I'm going to flex while doing it.
Yes, please. I love it, man. Well done. But we were talking about awesome. NBC. We're talking about the TV stuff. Where you at?
Yeah. So yeah, I was surprised by it. Those rumors have been circulating, and when they were circulating, I was like, that doesn't really make. Why? But I think part of the reason was, one of the reasons I was laid off back in October was because of the COVID stuff, the economic impact of that. Like I was told, we're not getting income from movies, like movie ticket sales, theme park sales. Also, last year the Olympics were canceled. Right. The Olympics are a huge part of the bottom line for Comcast and NBC Universal. Yep. And all signs are probably pointing toward it not happening this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's at least has to play at least a little bit into it. But again, that's just me speculating.
So I mean, on that note, I mean, think about with the Darth ship, so to speak, with ESPN is they've chased away a ton of salary in the last 2 years.
No one is immune right now.
Yeah, I mean it's that they've chased all of that away in a lot of ways, except for the things that really hit for them. So I think all the media, from not just the fact that we're now in this COVID deal that's weird, where we don't have as much live television coverage and we don't have as many live activities, but also the whole, hey, everything's on the internet now, so I don't know why we need all these people, and they just ran them off.
Yeah, I mean, NBCN was the number 2 sports network last year. I mean, technically things are going fine for NBCSN, but also part of the reason so many races are on FS1 and NBCSN instead of Fox and NBC is because both companies need to drive viewer subscriptions or whatever to each of those channels. But think about it. One of the races that are on NBCSN are now going to be on USA Today, which has more viewers it's in more homes than NBCSN.
And think about it from this perspective. It also is, until Fox showed up in 2001, most of the time that NASCAR was on television, it was on a cable channel. It was on TNN. It was
Mm-hmm.
on TNT. It was on ESPN. I
CBS,
mean,
ABC.
ABC had it for
you,
a little bit. Yep.
but you needed to have a cable subscription. It wasn't on broadcast most of the time. So it's like, okay, we're not that different now than we were then. So I don't know why people, especially the people that get upset about it, are
Well,
people that
well,
should have been fans then and
well,
were using cable to get their NASCAR then.
well, I think that, but then though, I think you could, I'm pretty sure you had all those channels like on basic cable. Now, if you want like NBSN or FS1, that's like one more tier.
Okay,
I think
I'll
so.
so I'll buy that story, but um, now with things like, for instance, I subscribe to YouTube television.
I did that up until a few months ago. Yeah.
I get everything. Basically, I get everything except regional Fox Sports. Not I get FS1 and FS2, but I don't get like Fox Sports Southeast, for instance, or Fox Sports South with YouTube television. But it's not all that different from what regular old just cable was when we were kids. I mean, if you think about that, Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I get it. I don't know what you're paying for cable right now, but I
I am
get
not actually.
same I'm the same amount of channels that I had outside of the channels that the Braves and the Hawks play on. I get the same amount of channels for half the price buying through YouTube. And guess what? When you pay for good internet, it don't matter. I was watching 3 different games over the weekend.
Mm.
I had basketball and football and everything. I had it all because I got 2 computers and I have a smart TV, so I got it all. I got whatever I want, I can watch it. And with crack streams and everything else going on, you can get the stuff that you want. So, I mean, I don't know where that plays in. I think where it plays in is why people are getting laid off. Is that you don't need as many people telling you what's going on because there's more opportunities. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
But yeah, like think about last year. Basically the saving grace for NASCAR was the TV contract, and as long as they held those races, they got the TV money. And so NBC is giving out that TV money, a lot of TV money, and they are not getting that extra revenue from, like I mentioned, movies, theme parks, whatever. So NBC was paying a lot of money, and I'm guessing that whole situation was not great for them.
That's interesting that you say that because in the industry that I work in, I worked for a company that competes. Not right now, but I worked for a company that I worked for one of the biggest providers of consumer products for babies, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and they were constantly competing with the other big provider of that same kind of product. But the difference is that other company had soaps and lotions and all kinds of other stuff. And so they could manage pricing around there to even when their diaper maybe not was competing with this other brand diaper, they were able to manage pricing such that they could still compete even if they thought they were making a better diaper and it cost them more because they're like, well, if we take a bath on this product, we can get it back over here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about Tide, there's a lot of brand loyalty to Tide. So that was the company if you have soap and baby diapers, you can do some interesting things with your process in terms of how you generate your revenue. If, to your point, if you don't have movies, if you don't have ticket revenue from people going to movies,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden that changes the game. You start have to change your strategy, even if it's in the short term, on how you manage how many people that you have doing the work, etc.
Yeah.
Well, let me do like a really quick re- research thing.
Oh,
So you guys talk amongst yourselves real quick.
okay.
All
We'll
right.
do that. I'll tell you
All
what
right.
we'll talk about too. Or Sherwin, you have something?
No, I was reading your show sheet. You were talking about Chase's team on the pole at Rolex.
That's exactly what I was going to go to. How cool is that, man? Like, I got me a little championship here, and so I'm just going to go ahead and get the pole for the Rolex. It reminds me in so goodness in so many ways of Jeff Gordon, and this was what 6 or 8 years ago, but he's primed, he's going. And then he, or maybe it was right after he retired or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but then he's on the pole and they win. And I mean, it's just keep piling on the fun. So
that's where the whole Rodney Sandstorm thing was born.
Yeah, with Jeff's thing. Yeah. Oh man.
All right. Okay. So all right, research done. So as we all know, there were no movies last year after March. For the most part, one of the movies that got pushed back to this year was the new Fast and the Furious movie, which is something that
number 1476.
Universal makes.
Was that the 14th one or what?
Me and you were lying, Sherwin.
It's the ninth. Well, it's the 10th if you count the spinoff movie with The Rock and Jason Statham. But yeah, Fast and the Furious 9 was supposed to come out last year. The previous entry, the Fate of the Furious, came out in 2017. Its worldwide gross was 1.2 billion.
Holy snap!
Like with a B.
So
with a B. Well, so the one that's gonna smash that was supposed to come out last year that didn't because of all of this is Top Gun 2.
I was gonna say it's sitting there written on your hat with a 2 next to it.
Yeah, that's gonna be probably $3 bills if I had to guess.
No, it's not.
I mean, hell, I'm going to spend $500,000 on it.
Well, that's a Paramount movie, which is connected to like CBS and all that. So I imagine Top Gun's going to make a lot of money, but I don't think it's going to make Fate of the Furious numbers. I don't think.
That's
crazy. I would be shocked if it didn't. Let's place a bet right now. $20 bill.
There you go.
$20 bill. I think Top Gun Maverick will outgross the newest Fast and Furious.
That's a tough deal because domestically, I agree. Internationally, I think Top Gun has a very domestic appeal to it. So how are those numbers going to line up?
Okay, so all right, so where are we allowed to set the boundaries then? How about
Fate of the Furious only made 226 domestically. So
wow,
it made 1 billion internationally. So
good.
Yes.
Okay, so that's mostly in Asia. So let's just talk about Top Gun versus the newest Fast and Furious in America.
Top Gun's going to win.
Yeah, Top Gun every day of the week.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's don't bet because it's not a fair bet.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, that movie is 31 years in the waiting. Yeah, it's Tom Cruise, one of the last true movie stars. Yeah.
It's gonna smash. He's the Clint Eastwood of what his category is.
Yes.
I've never heard anyone put Tom Cruise and Clint Eastwood in the same sentence.
Well, I like where you're going though. Like this is a good parallel.
I mean, I think it fits. I don't know. I'm a huge Clint Eastwood fan, and I like Tom Cruise a lot too. So so maybe I'm inserting too much bias, but I think Top Gun's going to smash because the reason why is there's a very wide audience. There are people like Rusty and I who were 8 years old or 7 years old the first time we saw the Top Gun originally.
Giving him the finger.
Guys, there's 4 pieces of my pop culture DNA: Star Wars, Star Trek, Quantum Leap, and Top Gun.
Okay, all right.
My dad basically raised me on NASCAR, raised me on Top Gun. So,
nice.
I love that movie so much.
I can basically rewrite the script without watching it.
I know a guy, I mean, he's not like Maverick or whatever, but like Maverick, he drives a motorcycle and he flies planes, and his wife had told him like, hey, how about all these dangerous hobbies? And he said, well, I can't die from both. That's impossible. So
that is the funniest thing I've ever heard in terms of like how you would manage hobbies that are dangerous. Like, well, they can't both kill me at the same time.
Right.
So what do you want from me?
Can't die from both. So, it is what it is. With that, let's close this thing out. Daniel, it's the first time, but it ain't going to be the last time. We're excited to make sure we get you on again soon and during the season and stuff when we can actually talk about races and NASCAR and what happened and whatnot. But why don't you close us out? Hey, everybody, before we do that, go on YouTube right now. Search Daniel McFadden, Dropping the Hammer, subscribe, get him up to that hundo mark. And, we might be good for like 3 or 4 here, Daniel, but it's a loyal 3 or 4. How about that?
I've already seen one subscriber come in while
there
we've
we
been
go.
talking, who's in your chat.
There we go. So close us out. Tell the folks where they can find you. What's coming up next for you?
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Daniel McFadden. That's all one word, and my last name is McFadin. Not 2 D's and an E, not 1 D and an E, 1 D and an I. Where else? Yeah, Instagram, same thing. Patreon, same thing. If you like what you see with Dropping the Hammer, you can chip in a little bit of that there. I have next month. I have a story being published in Speed Sport magazine on Trackhouse Racing. So subscribe to the magazine, I guess, so you can read that. Also, there should be an announcement early next week about where you can actually find where you will be able to find some of my writing this year. So I will have at least one writing home for this upcoming historic NASCAR season.
Excellent. Excellent. Looking forward to the announcement. Looking forward to everything. Sherwin, tell the folks where they can find us.
Well, you can find us at PTM Podcast on both Instagram and on the Twitter. And you can find me at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram and at Pregame Engineer on my personal Twitter. And you can find Rusty at Tailgate Mayor on
But he
Twitter.
never tweets.
That's true. That's true. I'll maybe 2021 goal. Tweet at least once. 5 times.
Oh, you need to do a PTM takeover.
Oh, we'll do that soon. That's a good idea. Hey, we'll do it. We'll do it during a race because I miss racing. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. We already said it. PTMPodcast.com at PTM Podcast as always. Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace here. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week. The computer has held up for us. We are good to go. We've got a excellent lineup coming up over the next couple weeks. Sherwin has really got the word out and everything. So anyway.
Yeah, Jeff Gluck and Julia Landauer.
Sweet. We will talk to y'all then.
And now's the start of the After Dark? Is that how this works?
That's how this works. So Rusty's got to monkey around with the thing, so you're stuck with me.
Yeah. And we are still live on YouTube, so we're hanging out with the YouTubers and just chilling. So
yeah. So this is the extra content. We didn't even get to the fact that I spent 2 weeks ago. I spent a weekend with Lap Traffic, Brandon Crowd, up in Detroit. That was a fun time. We had a good time. And then for the Daytona 500, I'm going to Indianapolis to hang out with Brett. Golly, I can't remember his last name.
Brett Moffitt,
I call him B Wayne all the time. But yeah. So I'm going to Indianapolis for the Daytona 500.
Nice.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, I'm going to the Daytona 500. I need time off. Oh, you're going to the Daytona? Oh, no. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I need time off for the Daytona 500 because I'm going to Indianapolis.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I sent my boss like a meeting notice to say that I was not going to be in the office, and he's like, "Did you put this in the system?" And I said, no, because you told me I didn't have to. And he's like, well, I need you to put it in the system because we have an accrual system for vacation.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, we got to account for it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, I'll put it in the system. It's fine. What's my password? Like, all right. So yeah. Um, there was a couple other things I think I wanted to bring up, Daniel, and I don't they're not at the very tip of my tongue right now, but
Well, we'll grab your tongue, pull it out a little bit,
right,
and
just you rake it on out. But so IMSA, the Rolex, what uh what's your perspective on that?
it's a race that will take place this weekend.
That's right.
The
Okay.
facts.
All right. So we solved that puzzle.
There's some NASCAR drivers in it. I know that, and I might watch it for a few minutes at some point. I'm not a sports car guy, so
I'm not either, but I've gotten more accustomed to paying attention to it because of my growing love for road course racing. And this happened way before we discovered that Chase, our hometown Atlanta boy, was actually really good at this particular discipline. But I started getting into it. I was like, man, this is actually kind of interesting. I don't know if I can watch 24 hours of it, but I'll watch, the first 2 or 3 hours and then, wake up and watch them finish. But there is something that's interesting about it. I think actually, of all things, of all people, it was Juan Pablo Montoya that actually sparked my initial interest in watching it. Just to see how well he could compete against those kind of drivers in a wildly different kind of car than he typically drives. I was like, you know what, this is kind of interesting. Like the 3 Series thing, like, I mean, listening to Door Bumper Clear and what like Brett's idea of the perfect all-star race was, I was like, yeah, I'm behind that. Like put 10 trucks, put 10 Xfinity cars, and put 10 Cup cars on the track at the same time. Have 3 different series. All of them, whoever finishes first in their series gets some kind of trophy and some kind of check. I'm like, yeah, that actually sounds kind of fun
Oh no,
because
I'd watch the heck out of that. Like, I hear some people say, "Hey, put a." I mean, IMSA's owned by NASCAR. Put a Cup team or whatever in a Cup car in the 24 hours of Daytona, and
so
I'd watch the heck out of that.
I think we're closer to that than we've ever been because of what you just said. Because of NASCAR really capturing IMSA, I think we're really close to there being a stock car division in the Rolex, and I'd love for there to be that. That would be so cool. I
Like
don't.
you just need 3 teams: Ford, Chevy, Toyota, and go. So, and you have drivers from each of the
Well,
big teams for each
so
manufacturer, and boom.
so follow me on this, and you can say yay or nay. I think the fact that we're going to run the Clash on the road course, I think, is a precursor to NASCAR saying we're going to enter a stock car division in the Rolex in 2022 or 2023. I
mean,
think that.
it gives you a good data point for that.
Well, it would be a bigger series than so the fourth division that's usually only shows up with like 3 or 4 cars. If the fourth division was a NASCAR stock car division, you probably have 10 cars show up for that. If I'm guessing,
well,
especially considering how good NASCAR racers are now at road course racing.
yeah,
Knowing that it's the same exact format as the Clash is going to be this year, and what we've already seen that what they're doing with Daytona is we're going to run the road course one time, and we're going to run the Daytona 500. So now there's a lot more reasons to do that, to participate in that. And we talked to Brian Murphy, who hangs bodies for SHR, and he's like, "No, we show up to win always. There's never a practice race. That's bullspit." So that would be all the more reason to participate in it if it was, hey, we're going to go win a trophy, but we're also going to learn some stuff about our stuff. And the chances that you race against the best in your division are a lot higher if they opened up a stock car division for the Rolex.
The only like negative I can think of for NASCAR not like going ahead and doing that is them saying, "Oh, this would be the equivalent of a test session or something." So which they've just completely outlawed. But
Well,
that's
so I threw that in Brian's face when we talked to him, and he's like, "No, that's not how it works. We show up to win every time. Doesn't matter. Don't care about testing. It's not that." So they're going to show up to win.
I'd watch throw in a stock car division for 2022. I'd be on board for that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think that would be a lot of fun. It would, and it certainly would draw eyes. I mean, I think so. One of the things, the feelers I've been kind of slinging out on the Twitter is, are we doing the road course for the Clash as a test session or as a way to try to creep some of the Rolex people into NASCAR? And it's like, well, yeah, of course that's what we're doing. That's the strategy.
I think the primary focus was to make the Clash worth watching again, and not make it a wreck fest. That's really what it. I think that was pretty much the primary driving force behind that.
So why are we still doing plate racing at all then? Because they're all crash fests.
Yeah, but that one was a non-points crash fest.
But it's
that's
a
the major difference.
separate car. Typically your Clash car was last year's rules.
So
you
also,
use a chassis from last year.
Well, also remember that was the race when it was originally announced was going to be the last time they used the current generation of car. So they were just wanting hey, use these for this non-points race, make this race both interesting and a way to just kind of like burn off this equipment. But there was an international pandemic that changed plans.
Well, but that's I mean, yes, on the very top level, yeah, that's a yes. But for a lot of years now, the Clash has held the rules from the previous year and not applied the rules that are current for the Daytona 500. So you had to bring a different car, and the whole point around that was to harvest old chassis and say, we know most of y'all are going to tear this stuff up. So we'll give you a chance to tear a car up that you didn't actually want to use this year anyway. And that's what the Clash has been for probably half a decade or more. Whether they said it out loud or not, that's what it was. I mean, if you read the description of what the rules were and what you can do with the car, it was use an old chassis. That's basically the direction was. They didn't want to say it out loud in public because they didn't want people to think that the race doesn't matter. But that's what they were doing. They were using last year's chassis, knowing every big team is building new chassis every year. So you don't have to build 4 cars for Daytona. You only have to build 3, and you can bring this other car and just have some fun crashing it, which is what happens a lot. So, I mean, they've been doing this for a minute. This is the first year of it being so publicly aware that we were going to like radically change what we're doing with the car. And then we had to postpone it a year because of COVID. So it really isn't all that much different in the grand scheme. It's the same thing. It's bring an old chassis, let's go crash some cars up. Some people will like it. I mean, Rusty and I went to Bud Shootout in, what was that, 2009?
Something like that. Yeah.
And I mean, it was dumb, but we had a lot of fun.
It was fun.
How many laps was it in 2009?
Uh,
75?
80 maybe,
80? Something like
50 or 80, something like that. It was not long.
that. It was about
I wish it'd,
8
I wish it'd go
beers.
back.
Is
I
how
wish
long
it'd go
it
back
was.
to 25 laps. I really do. So
Well, the problem is that's not a good TV product.
I know exactly, but it's a better race. So
Well, I mean, it's basically like last pit stop. All right, here we go. This is the last, like, you just go. So I get it from a racing perspective because it becomes something similar to a heat race that people grew up watching at their local racetrack or whatever. But from a TV product perspective, that's not good because there's no opportunity to sell commercials because you're gonna lose half the race just being in commercial.
there's an argument to be had that the TV exposure that NASCAR built up over the last 25 years was also to its detriment. So
I don't disagree with you there at all. I really do. I think I think they are starting to figure out that there's a reset button that needs to be hit. I think they may have hit it. But that's the reality is the reason why it is what it is about how many commercials can we sell while this is going on and who's going to watch. And when you do it, this year, the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, or what is it? No, it's not even the Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday after the Super Bowl. That you'll capture an audience that now no longer has any football to watch. So they're like, hey, a live sporting event. Let's see what happens. I mean, we're going to be recording our show during that race. So
the Clash?
Yeah, anybody that wants to watch what we're doing, they're either going to have to record the race or they're going to have to watch both at the same time. But we're just that we do Tuesdays is our thing, and it just happens to be that this year the Clash is on Tuesday, and so it starts at 8 and we start at 9. So I don't know that the Clash will be over yet or not. I'll have it on my television so that I can announce who won it during the show. But I mean, we're going to be talking to a young lady that spent her whole summer in Europe racing the NASCAR series, the NASCAR Europe series. So that's pretty cool.
Oh no, Julia Landauer. She's really cool. I interviewed her 5 years ago or so, and I loved it. She's very smart.
She was actually the first person that ever said the F word on our show.
There you go.
It wasn't me. That's why I'm proud of it. That's why I remember it, because it was her and not me. But yeah, she's super smart, and it's so much. I mean, she's a Stanford grad. Like, she's a genius. She's going to do way more than racing, but she's really fun to talk to. So it'll be the second time that she's been on.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I am out of drink and need to go take a shower. So I'm going to start shutting her down here.
All right, man.
It's good to chat with y'all. I'm going to shut down YouTube first. See y'all later.